Hi, I'm Marissa, and this is my walk with story. I am not a walk away. I've always been a moderate right, and I was raised that way. My parents are walkaways, but they walked away around the time that I was born, and I'm 31. By the time I started taking an interest to politics, my parents were hardcore conservatives. And my very first election that I voted in was for Mitt Romney in 2012. I would have been 19 at the time, and at that time I just thought, yeah, I think it's time for a change. I'm not too impressed with Obama's performance, and I just didn't like the state of the country even back then. We were in a recession. My parents weren't doing as well financially as they wanted to, and I knew that a lot of it was because of Obama's policies and just Democrat policies in general that make living more expensive and less affordable. So that was enough for me to just vote for Republican, because I always believed, well, the Republican side, they believe in supporting the working people. It's not like the stereotype that they're only out for the rich. I always felt that it was the complete and total opposite. So I voted for Mitt Romney without question. But little did I know at that time what a rhino is, or understand what a rhino is. And basically, they're just Democrats going the speed limit. And it reminds me of something that a professor said way back when in 2014. He said that he's staunchly an independent because he didn't believe in the Republican or Democratic Party, because he said basically, you're going to go to hell either way. It's just the mode of transportation and the speed of which you're going to go to hell. And at the time I thought, nah, bro, I'm full Republican. Nah, I don't agree with you there, buddy. Sorry. But I did also appreciate that he wasn't a hardcore leftist, which was kind of refreshing because, as you know, in colleges, that's mostly what you get. And speaking of which, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist, and I chose a field that is maybe 1% conservative, maybe at that time. But I feel like right-leaning artists are becoming more common now. I'd say I'm still in the minority with that, but not as much as I used to be. I don't feel quite as alone in the art community with politics as I once did. But it just reminds me of the whole stereotyping thing, because my name on social media is Art Fanatic. I once posted on a pro-Trump thing. I can't even remember what I wrote. But somebody then said, ditch Trump and watch your art skills go up tremendously. Okay? What does this natural gift that I got from God for my love of art and my artistic talents have to do with the way I vote? I can never understand that. And it reminds me of other things too. It's always the left who says, you can't vote for a Republican because of XYZ. I've been told I can't vote Republican because I'm an artist. But even more so, the real sexism is also on the left. The real misogyny is on the left. I was out for a walk with my now boyfriend back in 2016 or 17, and we ran into these Hillary supporters. And the guy basically, he could tell by the look in my eye that I didn't agree with anything he was saying. And he said, don't tell me you're pro-Trump. And I just kind of stood there and, yeah. And he said, but you're a young lady. Yeah, and you're an old man. So based on your logic and your stereotypes, shouldn't you vote for Trump? The left is the side that does that, not the right. I've always been so disgusted with it. But moving on, I truly think we're in a fight of good versus evil, because those are just annoyances. What really made me mad and really opened my eyes is what happened in 2020. And a lot of Republicans even were fooled by what was happening. I kind of knew something was up with this whole COVID thing. I remember in January of 2020, I was in my college Republicans group in a meeting. And this one girl said something about something that started with a C. The disease that started with a C was coming in from China. And another one of the group members said, "Oh, you mean communism?" Because at that point, America has been pushing soft authoritarianism for years. I probably noticed it, oh god, like 2013, 2014 maybe. But at any rate, I thought that was a pretty funny crack, but I knew that wasn't what the girl meant. And she said, "No, it's Corona something or other, and they're talking about how it started in China, and it could be coming here, and it's spreading." And nobody really paid much attention. They're like, "Nah, we're okay. And I kind of just minded my own business and went about my day after that. I thought it was a good laugh. I really appreciated that guy's joke. But lo and behold, 2 months later, everything I knew came to a halt. I noticed that I was going to this job fair, and the day after, everything went to hell. I got emails from my school saying that everything was going to be virtual. By the way, mixing virtual education with autism is not a good idea. I'm just putting that out there. But I think a lot of people agree with me that you're not going to get the same education, or even a good education, if you can't do anything in person. And I realized then that I was not alone in that belief. But even more so, it opened my eyes even more, because my sister-in-law, Steph, may God bless her, she's resting in heaven now looking down on us, but she had been fighting a battle of cancer for a few years at that point, and things weren't looking good by March of 2020 when this whole pandemic, I'm going to call it, started. Yes, she was one of the highest risk groups, and they always tested her every single time she came out negative. But here's the thing. Even her hospice caretakers, when she was in the ICU, said that they had no choice but to record her death as a COVID-related death. I'm sorry, I just need a second. That is extremely evil, that these hospitals could lose their funding to save lives if they don't lie and spread lies and misinformation and all these miscounts of these COVID deaths. She didn't die of COVID. She died of cancer. And then she just became a statistic to push the left's radical agenda to shut down the country using scare tactics. I was livid. And that was whenever I got my first sneak peek of just how bad and how serious this really was. Before that, I thought, yeah, I've always been more of a small government kind of girl, but sometimes big government is necessary in times like these. I was full of shit. And I'm a Republican. I'm a lifelong Republican, but even I was fooled. And it opened my eyes completely when I found out what they did to Steph. God bless her. I know she's looking down on us. And I love her. We are fighting in a battle of good versus evil. That election, I voted for Trump, and I was not only as confident as I was in 2016, I believed it was a necessity. And we watched in horror as it all turned blue. I knew it was rigged. Come on, mail-in ballots, these mass mail-in ballots, them pausing the election to count these ballots that came in, and then they had to stop the count. What? We're not stupid. And then the media gaslit us about, oh no, it's all conspiracy theory. What? You told us what you were doing. That was when I knew how dirty they're willing to play as well. Once I knew that they were going to cheat by such a massive landslide, I've feared since then that they're going to do it again this election. And Trump is right. We need to make it too big to rig. We need to save America, because I don't want what happened in 2020 to ever happen again. And I don't want any other victims of their lies and nonsense just to serve as a statistic. And it reminds me, we had to wear masks at her funeral. We weren't even allowed in the room when she was passing away, when she went under for the last time. They limited how many people could be there because of basically the flu. Which, by the way, isn't it funny the flu numbers went down? Yeah, Brandon said it best. They used this whole George Floyd thing to put riots out on the streets, and they gave him a funeral fit for a king. While the people who died, who we care about, some of us couldn't even go to their funerals. Luckily, I could. But I had to wear a mask the whole time. And don't get me started on those. Oh, God. They fog up your glasses, for one, which is extremely annoying. And another thing, the media and the left would gaslight you. Oh, well, it's so easy to breathe in those things. They don't give you anything respiratory as far as infections. Yeah, right. I have an incredibly strong immune system. My doctor said I have an incredibly strong immune system. And that I have perfectly healthy heart and lungs. And the left is telling me, oh, well, you know, anybody can breathe perfectly fine in a mask. Really? My doctor told me my lungs are in perfect health. I couldn't breathe in those damn things. What are you talking about? But vote red this November. We got a country to save. Thank you.